Happy Monday. Just going to go live everywhere. So excited about this week. Excited about this week. Say hi. Let me know if you're watching me live. Here we go. Yes, looks like I'm live everywhere. Nice to see you guys. Say hi if you're joining me live. Excited today to be talking about prints. So I just kind of realized everything was aligning to do a full-on prints week this week. So tomorrow on YouTube, I'm talking about print trends in 2025. So the kind of prints that we're going to be seeing in stores. Today, of course, I'm talking about 5 things you never knew about prints, like maybe different types of ideas and tips for prints that can help you master prints better. Good morning. Hi. And then this week, starting today through Wednesday, I have the Power of Prints challenge. Super excited about that. It's at 11 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week on Zoom. If you have not signed up for that, the link is everywhere underneath all of these different posts. If you're on Instagram, I'm going to share it to my stories right after this. But it's also on my feed and everything. So the Power of Prints challenge kicks off today at 11 a.m. on Zoom. So excited to talk to you guys. Yay. Early on the West Coast for sure. For sure. Okay. So I want to talk about 5 things you never knew about prints. And I just as a blanket statement, I feel like it's really important for us all to find prints that speak to our personal style. So as I share my ideas today, tomorrow in the print challenge, I want you to ask yourself, which of the prints that I'm sharing, whether they're modern, like which of the modern prints that I'm sharing, I can say a print is fabulous or modern, and it might still not feel like you. So the very first level of looking at a print is this print modern or is this print dated? And dated can equal frumpy. Dated can read out of style and not paying attention. And many reasons, many signal many things that we don't want to signal. So you really want to ask yourself, first, is it a modern print? And then second, does this print speak my love language? Is this print aligned with my personal style? Do I love it? Did my heart leap when I saw this print? Those are 2 totally different conversations. So you saying I don't like it is not the same thing as you saying it's not modern. So I want you to start kind of thinking like a stylist a little and separating your personal style from what's modern. First, recognize if it's modern, and then second, ask yourself if it's for you. Those are 2 different conversations. So often I get, oh, well, I like the more dated prints better than the more modern prints. That's fine. It still doesn't make the dated prints modern, but you want to ask yourself those 2 questions and recognize that a lot of prints are very personality specific. So a lot of prints are just going to fall outside of your personal style, and that is totally fine. And actually really good information to have, because you want to just focus on the ones that are going to feel like you. Okay. Let me get started on the 5 things you may never know about prints. So the first thing is, consider gradient prints to avoid harsh contrast. So this is the thing that happens as we get older. That was a mouthful. But to break it down, women are either high, medium, or low contrast. I'm medium to high contrast. That means primarily the difference between my hair and my skin is pretty high. Like there's a big difference between the color of my hair and the color of my skin. I'm going to break that down for you in today's workshop and tell you how to identify your contrast level. But when you're looking at your contrast level, you want that contrast level ideally echoed in the contrast level of the print. So what may happen is that women who have high contrast, maybe very fair skin and very dark hair, maybe have been pulling off really dramatic black and white prints their whole life. The thing that happens as we get older is that our coloring kind of softens a little, even if you're high contrast. And you may find that black and white still work really well for you, but you may find that the really like graphic high contrast black and white prints are no longer your best friend. So what do you do when the contrast level of a print feels like a little bit too much? You can start kind of transitioning your prints into what I call gradient prints. Gradient prints can also be referred to as ombre prints or watercolor prints. So they can still be the same color or contrast that you had before, but the print itself is softer. So rather than a white floral on a black background, maybe it's an ombre print that starts white and ends black. So it's a gradual or a gradient rather than just the two colors. You've got more colors in there. The contrast level is a little bit easier to wear when you've got a gradient print, an ombre print, or watercolor print than when you do a stark black, white geometric print. So this is true if you love black and white prints and black and white prints have never loved you back, or if you've loved high contrast prints and they've never loved you back, consider a high contrast print in a gradient or ombre or watercolor design instead of just, like I said, black and white stripes, black and white florals, black and white dots. So prints that fade or blend rather than have sharp lines are a lot easier to wear as we get older. Again, this is not a hard or fast rule. This is just something to take into account. If you're like, oh my goodness, I tried on this print. Why is this print wearing me rather than me wearing the print? Consider the contrast level and consider switching to a print that fades or blends rather than a print with sharp lines. We will find that these really become easier to wear as we get older. Soft, blurry florals and dip dyed effects rather than rigid patterns are easier to wear as we get older. Again, if you feel like a print is wearing you, this is when you ask yourself that question. If it's not broken, don't fix it. If you're wearing those high contrast, rigid prints really, really well, fabulous. But if you're feeling like something is off, this may be just a little switch to make. Colors that shift within the same family, like dusty rose to mauve, grays to blacks, light blues to navies, are going to be a lot easier to wear than taking, colors that are on the opposite side of the color wheel and pairing those. So again, look for ways to play with the contrast levels in your prints so that you feel like you stand out and not just the print stands out, right? Okay, so brands that have really good ombre, gradient, watercolor prints include Eileen Fisher. She often does gradient prints on silk and lightweight, linen. So a lot of her silk tops have that gradient print on them. Johnny Was often has artistic kind of gradient prints with kind of a more boho feel. Anthropology has watercolor prints on their tops and dresses often. And then Tuckernuck, even though Tuckernuck is more known for contrast prints, they do have some subtle, more ombre prints as well. So just brands to look out for when it comes to looking for gradient, ombre, or watercolor prints. Okay, I keep saying these are going to be shorter, and I end up having so much to say on each of these. The second print tip that you may never have heard of is that you not only need to match your prints to your height, but you need to match your prints to your scale. So I'm going to talk about micro prints versus macro prints. We've heard, and many women, and I've spoken a lot about matching your prints to your height, but it's also, if not more important, equally important to match your prints to your scale. So your bone structure and the scale of your body. Some people, I am one of them, have very small bones. Other people have wider bones, broader bones, and so you're going to want to match your prints to the scale of your bones, ideally. Can you break this rule? Yes, and I do it all the time. But again, if you're looking at wearing the prints rather than the prints wearing you, or if you try something and it feels off, this may be the reason. So you're looking at like the scale of your bones, but you're also looking at your frame size and your whether you're petite or whether you're tall, whether you're small boned or whether you're larger boned, and then whether you're very narrow or whether you're plus. So those are all going to be details that play a role in your overall scale, and then the scale that you should look at for your patterns. So for example, like if you've got small wrists, delicate shoulders, fine facial features, you tend to look best in micro prints, which are really small prints with intricate details, right? Not a lot of space between them. They're often grouped closely together. If you've got broader shoulders, a more solid frame, you're taller, you can handle larger, more spaced out prints a little bit more easily without them being overpowering or without them wearing you. Now, if you are plus and you want to look, slimmer, you want to look more flattered in your prints, you might want to consider a more medium scale print, because a small print can often feel like out of proportion with you, but a large print can often kind of enlarge. So a medium scale print is a really great choice if you're plus and want to appear leaner. Okay, so let's talk about prints and body type, because believe it or not, there's stuff to say about that as well. Larger prints tend to expand, smaller prints tend to contract. So you can use this as a little tool when you're choosing prints for your body type. So if you have an orange or green body type and you've got more structure in the lower half of your body, then consider doing a smaller print on the bottom and a larger print on the top. You're going to expand your top, you're going to look more balanced, and you're going to minimize the bottom part of your body. So really can create balance. Now, if you've got a stronger frame, you can try brushstroke patterns all over. If you've got a stronger frame and you're proportional from top to bottom, large brushstroke patterns, large abstract florals, oversized ethnic or culturally inspired prints are going to be really, really cool on you. The prints where there's not a lot of repetition or it doesn't repeat too frequently, you can wear a lot more easily if you've got more space to spread it out over. If you're very petite, prints that don't repeat often are just not going to they're not going to look like prints at all. It's going to look like you've just got one flower, right? And then, okay, like I said, if you're petite and you've got, fine features, a smaller scale, smaller florals, smaller geometrics, narrower stripes are going to be more in keeping with your scale. Now let's talk about brands that offer different scale prints. Bowden offers really great medium-sized prints, and medium-sized prints are going to be the print scale that works best on most women. They have great medium-sized geometric prints, but they also offer a lot of small scale florals, kind of like Liberty inspired prints. Frank and Eileen often do their lightweight button-up tops, which they're known for, in smaller scale prints. J. Crew has really great balanced prints. They will do the small scale prints, and then they will also do some medium scaled, kind of universally flattering prints. And then Ulla Johnson is a great source for flowing large scale abstract prints in their dresses and blouses that are really well suited to someone with either a larger scale or a taller height. So think about scale when it comes to prints. And just for reference, if it isn't, again, just as a reminder, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. If you feel like you're wearing your prints well, awesome. But again, if you put something on and you don't know why it's not working, these are tips that can help you get there. These are things that I look at when I choose prints for my clients. I often tell my clients, you don't really have to worry about this because I'm worrying about it for you. Like, I choose prints that suit you. The next tip and next thing you may not have known about prints is to use sheer layers to soften loud prints. So there's a lot of sheer that we're going to be seeing in trends this year in prints and in blouses, a lot of beautiful like sheer fabrics that are printed. And so wearing a print on a sheer item is a lot easier than wearing a print on an opaque item. It really softens the look of the print. So if you're feeling like, I really love oversized prints, but they don't love me back, consider using an oversized print on a sheer item. It's going to be a lot easier to pull off. So, if it feels too bold, layering a sheer gauzy print over like a tank or whatever will soften the look. A sheer blouse over a printed tank will tone down the print. A chiffon layering piece, and I say approach these with caution, but you're going to be looking at chiffon layering pieces from modern prints. But a chiffon layering piece, maybe it's not printed and you're wearing it over a printed dress, will soften the look and give it a more subtle look. Tulle or organza, which we're seeing a lot this season, a tulle or organza overlay over a skirt or a dress can definitely mute a loud pattern while still giving it that dimension. So you want to look for sheer layers, again, keeping it modern, but sheer layers, a mesh or lace sleeves with patterns on them, lightweight scarves that can, that are sheer, that can mute your patterns if you're feeling like your patterns are just a little overwhelming or overpowering. So Kaz has great modern minimalist sheer layers over prints. Kaz can be a little bit oversized and boxy. Think Eileen Fisher, but even more minimalist and modern. So approach with caution, but they have really great modern pieces. Eileen Fisher will definitely have these types of pieces again. Eileen Fisher is designed for someone tall and slim, so keep that in mind. Banana Republic has, right, especially right now, has some sheer overlay skirts and blouses that can balance bold prints. So it's not just the print itself, but it's also all of these really tie into how you wear it. It's not just the colors, but it's how the colors show up on the fabric that is going to make a difference. Okay, and another brand that has really, really great prints that include sheer layers is Haley Bob. Okay, the next tip that you may never have heard about prints before is that metallic prints give a lifting effect. So if you want your prints to really like bring out the best in your coloring, if you want your prints to add a glow to your skin, if you want to look a little bit more youthful, a little bit more rusted, and let's face it, who doesn't want to look more youthful and rusted? Consider a print with subtle metallic accents like lurex or gold threads going through it, pearlescent florals, just a tiny hint of shimmer. Many of these are day and night friendly, and they reflect light onto the skin, creating like a little mini facelift without the knife, a facelift without the surgery. Like really, metallics can absolutely give a glow to our skin. And even, obviously we've talked about jewelry adding a glow, but metallic fabrics can absolutely do that as well. So this especially works well around the neckline and shoulders, because of course we want that metallic effect on our face and not on our kneecaps. So looking for blouses with some metallics in them can be a really nice little tip to like, how people have always said candlelight just gives you a beautiful glow. Metallics can do that as well. So if you're wearing a metallic blouse on Valentine's and you're sitting by candlelight, you're going to look extra glowy and fresh. Avoid some really full metallic fabrics can feel very, very stiff. So keep that in mind. You may want instead, you may find it easier. I like that full metallic look, but if it's not for you, you may find it easier to look for a softer fabric with metallic accents rather than a full metallic. It might feel easier for you to wear. So look for florals with a touch of metallic thread woven in, pearlized prints that reflect light without being too flashy, because that makes them more wearable and it's not just an evening piece. Muted metallic animal prints like a leopard with champagne gold spots on it. Now, brands that do this metallic threading really, really well, Lafayette 148 often has metallic threads going through their beautiful, elegant, like jacquard prints. Joie, Joie. They have subtle metallic details in their soft floral printed blouses, which can often be found at Marshall's. Farm Rio will sometimes do metallic infused patterns. They do fun prints, but will often have some metallic elements in them. And then Anthropologie often has the pearlized prints that I was talking about, and they do a great job with their metallic prints. So consider metallics for an easy, breezy facelift. Yes. Okay. Now, the final tip that you may not have known about prints is that evenly spaced prints can look rigid. Now, in tomorrow's YouTube video and in today's challenge that kicks off today, my Power Prints Challenge, definitely join us for that. The link is everywhere, including below this video on Facebook and on YouTube, and I'm going to share it on my Instagram stories. The reason I'm making a big deal about this is because this is the detail that separates many modern prints from dated prints, and that is that dated prints can often be absolutely evenly spaced. Classic prints can also sometimes be evenly spaced, but prints that have more of an organic flow where the elements of the print, whether it's a flower or a dot or whatever other shape they're using, is less evenly spaced and more sporadic, more organic. Those are going to look a lot more modern most of the time. So again, prints that are very evenly structured can look rigid and can often look dated. So if you want a print to look more natural, more artistic, more unstructured, more expensive, these are the prints that like Farm Rio, Ulla Johnson, Alame, these are brands that do prints really, really well. And if you'll notice, their prints are organic. They're less structured. They're more artistic. So, you know, there are, of course, exceptions to this. Very classic prints like leopard, like stripes, like polka dots can be more evenly spaced. But if you're looking at florals, really consider a floral where the floral is more organic and less structured for a more modern look. Go for hand painted looking florals, go for floral motifs or appliques that are like, you know, either boho inspired or inspired by different cultures and different ethnicities, and distributed more haphazardly on the garment. Now, just so you know, higher end brands don't distribute florals haphazardly. They're very strategic about where the floral is placed. So floral, like the placement of the florals and everything is going to be another way that you're going to elevate that look. But you know, even if you're looking at mixing up your dots and your stripes, or you feel like stripes or dots are too high contrast or too predictable for your personal style, consider gridded stripes, consider watercolor stripes, consider like free form dots and polka dots instead of, you know, classic polka dots and classic stripes. So prints that are hand drawn, brushstroke inspired, or organically placed are going to look more elevated, more expensive, and often be easier to wear. Definitely are going to look more modern than prints that are more predictable. Asymmetrical designs that don't repeat in a perfect grid, that's one of the key signs of a more expensive, more modern, and more elevated print. And then tie-dyed effects in modern, sophisticated colors can also look more modern. So brand recommendations, Ulla Johnson does free-flowing painterly florals really beautifully. Tory Burch often has hand-drawn and irregular prints. Even her paisleys and her more classic prints have that element of being artistic and irregular. Farm Rio, you know, I mention them all the time because they're such a great brand to turn to for prints. They're known for their playful yet sophisticated organic prints. And then Anthropologie has a lot of artistic, unstructured prints. So I know I threw a lot out at you. I always throw a lot out at you. But if you really want to do a deep dive into prints, please join me for the Power of Prints Challenge. It's today, tomorrow, and Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So approximately an hour and a half from now. I would love to support you in your quest to find your best and most flattering prints. And then, of course, join me on YouTube tomorrow at 9 for my 2025 print trends video. And, you know, let's talk in the comments, let's share in the Facebook groups, and let's dive into prints together so that we can get, I really believe every woman should have some prints in her wardrobe. Many of you have a lot. Many of you have probably too few. And I'm here to help you pick prints that are going to make you feel beautiful and are going to align with your beauty and your personal style. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up if you're, you know, wherever you're watching, and let me know where you're watching it. Love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.